everybody, welcome to the show. Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Raising A to Z. It is an inspirational, informational YouTube channel all about homeschooling with me, Amanda. I am a teacher who now homeschools my kids. Today I'm doing something totally different. We are teaming up with a whole bunch of homeschool mamas across Canada, and we are going to be doing a little bit of a collab. All of us are answering the same 10 questions. We're talking about homeschooling and how we do it, different perspectives, ideas, how it works in our province. And so you are gonna wanna just jump on and check all this out. Before we get into all of that, why don't you jump down and subscribe and then click the bell to get notifications when we put out new videos. So like I said, we are doing this collab video with mothers who homeschool their kids across Canada. We all have our own YouTube channels and we're all talking about how we actually homeschool. So we have the same 10 questions, and I think this is great because I think so many people get caught up in like there being only one way to homeschool and only one approach and only one system and style of homeschooling. And really we are all unique. We all have unique family situations. And so we all should kind of embrace our own homeschooling style. So it's really good to see how other people are homeschooling and see what is working for them, what isn't working for them, how it functions in different parts of the country, and just like what is driving homeschooling for all these different people. Different perspectives is so fantastic. And so that's what we're doing. So today I'm going to jump in and I'm going to start answering my 10 questions all about homeschooling here in Canada. Question number 1, why did I decide to homeschool? We started wanting to homeschool because I wasn't thrilled with the kindergarten program that was offered here in our province. I thought there was just a better way. That was kind of our original plan when we first had kids, was that we were only going to homeschool for kindergarten and then they could go to school for grade 1. And then as we kind of realized as we started homeschooling that if we sent them in grade 1, they would be super bored because our kids kind of progressed faster and they were way ahead of where they would be. And so then we'd homeschool in grade 3 and then maybe longer. And so now basically we've totally changed how long we're gonna homeschool from when we originally started. But that was the start. That's one of the main reasons why we started wanting to homeschool. And now it has just grown into, we love the individuality of homeschooling. We love that our kids can follow their passions. And we love the freedom that homeschooling has offered our family. That's why we homeschool now. Question number 2, how long do you plan on homeschooling? So like I said, we originally started, we were just gonna homeschool kindergarten. Now we are basically planning to homeschool as long as we can. And as long as our kids are meeting their goals for themselves, how long they wanna homeschool. We will probably homeschool into high school. How long they're gonna go into high school and if they will go to high school, a traditional high school, we're not sure. We have thought about perhaps letting them go to my husband's school. He works as a media teacher at an arts high school. And so we've talked about if they're gonna go to high school, that's kind of the school we'd like them to go to, because we have recognized that it's very good with homeschoolers, it's very flexible, and it has a very different programming kind of feel to it. So we have the plans that right now, plans change, that they will do as much homeschooling as they can at home and then maybe go to high school a little bit later on to take some elective type courses or to maybe do a few grade 12 kind of things. So that's as far as we have gone with homeschooling and thinking ahead. Alexi is just starting grade 1, so we have a long ways to go before we get there. But yeah, that's kind of our goal. We are also open to them having kind of an untraditional approach to upper education. We're not afraid to have them not get a diploma or something like that. We're leaving it wide open as to how we're gonna go about high school and post-secondary. We're open to untraditional ways, but we're also gonna just see where it takes them and what they want to do with their lives and what that will require. Number 3, how much does homeschooling cost? Homeschooling can cost as much or as little as you want it to be. That's what I tell everybody who asks me how much does it cost. We spend approximately $1,200 a year on homeschooling curriculum, supplies, and classes. The biggest chunk of that goes to our classes and activities. Our kids do gymnastics, they've done rock climbing, soccer, we've done science memberships for the science center. So that's where like probably 80% of our money goes to them doing the classes. We like doing the classes because it's great socialization with them. It's learning new skills that I can't necessarily teach in our home, and it's also great to like support local businesses and stuff. and meet other kids who are nearby and stuff like that. So we love to do the classes. We think they're really good for our kids, but that is where the biggest chunk of our budget goes to, is to classes. We actually are not big on spending tons on curriculum or that kind of stuff, materials. If you're trying to save some money and figure out how to homeschool on a smaller budget, that's an option too. We have a great video that I've done already on how to save money homeschooling, and just some tips and tricks there about saving money in general on homeschooling. Number 4, how long does homeschooling take? Everyone has their own approach. We have a very different approach. We run on a 4-day schedule, and we do about an hour on each of those days. Both my kids are kind of kindergarten, almost grade 1 age, so that is more than enough for us. As a teacher who is now homeschooling, I can tell you I accomplish so much more one-on-one in an hour than you can accomplish in a classroom in an hour. In fact, I would argue what I do with my kids in 1 hour of one-on-one is what they're doing in the public schools in 2 to 3 days of school. It's just, but once you take out all of like the procedures and the lining up and the waiting and the busy work and the administrative stuff teachers have to do, so much of their day is filled with that stuff that very little of what they're doing is actually teaching and working with the kids in that kind of like direct educational kind of approach and method. Even one of my best friends is teaching a class. She's a teacher and she is currently teaching a 4-grade split. And I asked her how much, and when you teach a math lesson that's an hour, how much of that is actually like working with the students? And she says about 15 minutes. Yeah, that's what she's managing every day, is about 15 minutes of direct instruction for her grade 5, 6, 7, 8 class. I do more than that with Alexi and Zoe, so it works out to about the same. You know, once you take out all the extra stuff teachers have to do just to maintain their class and manage their classroom, it's not even comparable time-wise. Question number 5, what is homeschooling like in your province or territory? So I live in Ontario, we live in Northern Ontario, and we are so happy to say that because Ontario has 0 rules, regulations, or requirements for homeschoolers. Basically, if your kids are in school, you just have to withdraw them with a letter of intent, and voila, you can homeschool. Basically, that's it. Our kids have never actually even been enrolled, so we don't have to do anything. People say the downside in Ontario is we don't get any funding, but the benefit is we don't have any restrictions or requirements. So literally, we can teach what we want, when we want, how we want, for as long as we want. We can follow our schedule, our approaches, pick our books, our curriculum choices, and follow our kids' interests. And I'm not being dictated as to whether that is age appropriate or not. As much as it sucks that there's no money for it, we also, I think, even more so appreciate that we don't have to report to anyone. No one is coming in our house. No one is telling us what we can spend that money on. There's no requirements or restrictions. We can just live our lives as homeschoolers. One of the great benefits is that I can just educate my kids. I don't need to prove to someone else that they are learning. I know they're learning, and that's all that matters. Number 6, what about socialization? Every homeschooler hates this question, but we all answer it as happily as we can. My best answer is, I'm sure you were told in school that this is not the place to socialize. So school's job is not to socialize kids. The other thing I always tell people is socialization, the way people use it when they talk about homeschoolers, is the wrong word. Socialization is learning how to behave in a society. And the only way you can learn to behave in a society is to actually be out and learning and in it. Our kids, I would argue, are probably more social than most. They've learned skills that they've had to learn because they are out in society. When you're in a classroom, everyone is just there, and the teachers told you what everyone's name is and they're all the same age. My kids have had to learn how to make friends, and so it weirds people out, but she was 4 years old, Alexi was 4 years old, and she walks up to people and says, "Hello, my name is Alexi, what's your name?" That's proper socialization, is that she's introducing herself, she's asking questions about others. That's not what you're learning in school, because everybody's name has been told to you and everyone's the same age. I'd argue my kids are even more socialized. But in terms of like, are they interacting with kids their own age? I'm not so worried about the own age thing. Our kids do interact with a lot of people. I think that is the bigger point. They have cousins that are very similar ages to them that they see almost every single week. We have a lot of family nearby, grandparents and aunts and uncles. They see them on a regular basis. We do a lot of classes. Like I said, we do gymnastics and soccer and rock climbing. We do play dates with friends. We go to a play group. So our kids are out there, and then they're out a lot too. Like, I think that's important. Our kids come with us when we go to most doctor's appointments, or they go to, you know, if I have to run errands, they're with us. Like, so they're seeing people in stores and at the grocery store. When they go to the chiropractor, they're talking to Dr. Sam and asking him about what his skeleton guy is called and what he does. And so they're out and they're learning about how to be in society, and they're with us and they're learning how to do all of that. So our kids are greatly socialized and they see enough of people. They're good, trust me. Number 7, what does your homeschool schedule routine kind of look like? So like I said earlier, we run on a 4-day schedule. I find that is just one of the best things if you are homeschoolers, the 4-day schedule. Basically we do 3 days of loop, workbook loops. So we do language, so like a spelling, phonics, letter type of activity. We do some math, and then we do reading, and we work on a unit study activity. Those are kind of like what we'll do in our 1-hour block. We do that 3 times a week. It takes us about an hour, maybe a little more depending on the activity. Sometimes I pick a bigger activity and it takes a little longer, but for the most part, it takes us about an hour, 3 times a week. And then on Fridays, we do Fun Day Fridays. So Friday mornings, we do something super fun. So we'll do either art, sensory bin. My youngest is obsessed with sensory bin, so we will do one of those, or we'll go and do like a nature walk or kind of an adventure play date kind of thing in the morning. And then Friday afternoons we do poetry tea party, and we do that on a regular basis. So that's kind of our thing, depending on our classes. And right now it's kind of all weird thanks to pandemic and everything. We do classes on a regular basis. So we've done gymnastics, we've done rock climbing, depending on when they are. So those are usually in the evening. Usually on Wednesdays is kind of our day off. So we do playgroup in the morning. Right now with the pandemic, sometimes it's a Zoom playgroup, sometimes it's an in-person playgroup. So if it's a Zoom, we'll Zoom for an hour, and then I'll do an extra tidy up or errands or whatever I need to do around the house. And if it's actually like an in-person class, which I'm hoping we'll get back to eventually, we'll do that in person, and then we'll run errands, get groceries, that kind of stuff afterwards. Question number 8 is, what is your style and your curriculum choices? We are very eclectic. So we are very heavily influenced with unit studies, unschooling, with a little bit of Charlotte Mason sprinkled in there. So we do workbooks, like I said, about 3 times a week. We are currently using Chalkbook Publishing for our language arts, and I use Master Books for math. So Math for Living Education, we really like those. That's what's working for us. That's about all the curriculum we do. After that, I build unit studies for my kids based off of what they're interested in. So they often tell me, Mom, we want to learn about this. And we've made a list at the beginning of the year of things they want to learn by the end of the year. And so I pick one and I will build a unit study around it. And so I will fill their bookshelves with books from the library, or pulling out of our collection on their specific unit study shelves of all those kinds of books. I'll find some activities and we will learn all about that topic. Right now we're learning about towns and cities. So I have a bookshelf full of like community helper books and cities and different architecture and building and all kinds of stuff. So that's what's in my book right now. So that's how we do it. And then after that, it's pretty much all unschooling. We do a lot of following the kids' interests, what they're interested in, what they're really good at, and lots of creativity. We do a lot of music and art and creative play and building and stuff like that. So that's pretty much our style. Number 9, what do you do when there's a subject you don't know or you don't like? And you have to teach it. So I say that's what YouTube is for. You don't have to teach it. There's so many other options out there for subjects and teachers, whether it's going to be YouTube, a documentary, Khan Academy, downloading lesson plans from Pinterest. Like, there's so many other options out there for subjects you don't know or aren't comfortable with. There's always someone out there who is comfortable and who can teach it. And often you can find those things on the internet for very little money. And then I also like to remind people that, like, I'm not the only person in the house. Like, Stefan, my husband, he has different interests than I do, and he has different strengths than I do. And so sometimes he'll take on a topic or a subject and kind of like really help the kids learn through that, because that's something he's good at. You know, my mom is super good at like knitting and crafting. She's great at that. She teaches that to the kids. My mother-in-law, French. She's French Canadian. She teaches my kids most of their French. Like there are other people around us and in our lives who can help us teach subjects that we're not necessarily comfortable with. And like I said, YouTube is great. The internet is fantastic. It is probably one of the greatest informational resources you have out there, and it's at your fingertips. So that's how we handle subjects we don't know how to teach. Also, one of our goals with our kids is that we teach them how to learn and teach them how to learn so that eventually they can teach themselves. So our goal as parents is that eventually they will get to a point where they don't really need us to teach them things. They have learned the skills to figure out something, or to learn how to research, or learn how to source out information and learn what they want to learn without me actually having to physically sit there and instruct them on it. So that is one of our goals long term with our kids. We're getting there. They're starting. They do ask us like, hey mom, can we watch a YouTube about this? I don't know how it works. So we're getting there. We're starting with the teaching them how to learn. So the last question on our list is, how do you get time for yourself as a homeschooling parent? If you've ever watched any of our videos, I am a big proponent of quiet time. We do a quiet time every single day from about 1 until about 2:30, 3 o'clock. The kids have to be in their activity room or their bedrooms. Those are the two choices. They have to be quiet and find a small, quiet activity that they can do. They can switch between activities. They can color, play, dress up, play Lego, play with their characters, whatever they want to do within reason in those rooms independently for that time. And they just have to be kind of quiet. It works for us. They get some kind of downtime. I get some me time, and that's just what we do every single day. We also are very strict with our bedtimes. They need to be in their beds by 9 o'clock. There is nothing extended past that. We try to get into bed earlier than that, and they can leave their light on until 9 o'clock if they want and read books, but at 9 o'clock it's lights out. It works for us. It gives me some time after they go to sleep to wind down and talk with Stefan and watch a show or whatever I need to do for myself. Yeah, that's important for us. I also try to be kind of consistent with having time for me. So again, I always think communication is important. So I will communicate with Stefan that like, I need a break. I'm scheduling to go have coffee with my friend or whatever it is. Right now, going to get groceries by myself is a big deal. So I will drive the 40 minutes to the grocery store and get my groceries and pick up a Starbucks and blast my favorite music as loud as I can as I'm driving to and from. And that has become a bit of my downtime for me. So making sure that I'm communicating that, but also like building that time into the schedule and having it like, this is this day that we're doing this, that I'm having this alone time is really important. And then I also like to say it's okay for your kids to see you do things for yourself. So it's okay for me to sit down and read a book every now and then and read a book for myself and read a book that I want to read and not one that has anything to do with them. Like, it's okay for them to see you enjoy a hobby that is not for their benefit. It's okay for them to like play and do their thing and not be completely, the world doesn't revolve around them. My world doesn't revolve around them. I'm allowed to do things that I enjoy. So I'm allowed to like take care of my plants and read a book and go for a bath. Like, I'm allowed to do these things. It's just part of life, right? And I think it's good for them to see that parents have hobbies outside of them and that parents have things that they're learning and that they're trying to figure out, and that I think that's important. That's the whole idea that we talk about, is teaching our kids how to learn. I am learning how to do certain things, and having my kids nearby and watching me learn how to do these things is important. So that's the 10 questions. I'm so happy that I got a chance to do this with all these amazing homeschool moms. All of their names and their links to their videos are all going to be below. I'm also going to make a playlist. You can find that up here of all the videos, so you can actually like jump in there and watch them. So I highly recommend you jump in there and take a look. Especially, you might find some new mamas to follow. You might find someone who lives in your specific province or area. That would be a great resource for you. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, like other videos like us, make sure you subscribe and click the bell. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll hopefully see you guys next week. Bye!